Hi, I'm Josh. I'm the moderator for the Chantel Ray Way. Today we're going to answer your questions. What is intermittent fasting? Find out in today's episode.
Welcome to the Chantel Ray Way, the inspirational way to lose weight for life through intermittent fasting. Do you want to escape the slavery of yo-yo dieting, melt fat away despite your busy schedule, never sacrifice your social life for your diet, heal your thyroid without medicine, reverse autoimmune issues, and overcome gluttony? Then the Chantel Ray Way is for you. Hey, it's Chantel Ray.
And it's Chris Sykes.
Here with another episode of Chantel Ray Way, where you're going to find out more about intermittent fasting and how to lose weight.
So what I do, there's a few different types of intermittent fasting, but we pretty much do the same kind. We just adjust our windows. So I do the 16-8 intermittent fast, which means I fast for 16 hours a day and I eat within an 8-hour window. So I might eat from, let's say, for example, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's the time I eat. Anything with calories or anything that'll spike my insulin at all, that's the time I eat it or drink it, between 2 and 10 p.m. The rest of the time I'm fasting. Now during my fasted state, you can drink coffee, obviously, but no cream and sugar. Water, plenty of water. You can drink teas. Anything 0 calories, 0 sugar, you're able to drink during your fast without breaking your fast. So anything that spikes your insulin, obviously, will break the fast. That's the kind I do. You can adjust a little bit here and there.
And I believe, and I've been now, for as long as I've been talking about this and doing this and interviewing people, I believe that men do well if they are have a lot of muscle, they're working out, do well on an 8-hour eating window and a 16-hour fast. When we talk, though, what I'd like to do is only talk about our eating windows. So when I say 8-hour, everyone should know 8-hour eating window. When I say 6-hour, that means a 6-hour eating window. So for me, the only way that I can lose weight is one of two ways: doing a 6-hour eating window, or which means 18 hours of fasting, or to do basically bring it down to a 2-hour, or what we call a one meal per day.
Right.
I have a ton of friends who are super skinny, and that's what they do. They do, for the majority of their week, I would say 4 to 5 days out of the week, they're only eating one meal a day.
They're still feeling plenty satisfied.
They're feeling plenty satisfied. So even in that 6 hours, though, if you just did nothing but eat for 6 hours straight, during that, you're just not going to lose weight. You're not going to lose weight during that time. So in my opinion, it's still within that 6-hour time frame. I'm really only eating one meal. I'm eating one medium-sized meal and one small meal. And the trick for me is that I don't eat my very first meal until I hear my stomach growl. When I hear my stomach physically growl, that's when I know, hey, it's time for me. I'm allowed to eat now, because my body's physically hungry, and I'm only using food for fuel, not for any other reason.
See, that's a big point right there, too, because you probably had days like this. So I plan to eat only 8 hours a day. So let's say it's getting to 2 o'clock. I'm not hungry sometimes. I don't force myself to eat.
No.
So I'm not hungry at 2. I might not be hungry at 3. Might be 3:30. Okay, I'm ready to eat now. So
only eat. That is the number one rule that we're going to talk about in our continued podcast. But rule number one is you cannot eat unless you're physically hungry. You can't eat because you're bored or because you're tired or because it looks good or anything like that.
And you'll start to learn how much you were actually overeating before this. You'll start to see how many calories you were actually taking in.
Let's talk a little bit about your first meal. What you should eat in your first meal. What do you normally eat?
Me, I still tend to eat towards breakfast type foods. What I mean by that is a protein and a carb. I try to skip, obviously, like I said, I have a huge sweet tooth. You're going to want, I avoid eating a donut or a snack. Now, obviously, we said we can have those, but we don't want that to be the first thing, because that's going to skyrocket the insulin. That's going to skyrocket our cravings to where we just probably going to binge out for 6 to 8 hours. But if I know I can get a quality protein, whether it be chicken, eggs, fish, just basically a quality meal, a baked potato and a piece of chicken or something like that. If I can get that in my system, usually my cravings will not come during those 8 hours. I'll be able to coast through those 8 hours. I might eat one or two cookies or something like that, but I can stop at 1 or 2 cookies, whereas I can stop at the whole pack before.
Well, and I'll have something sweet, but I do try to make sure that the very first few bites of whatever I have is not massive amounts of sugar, because I don't want to spike my insulin too much. So, today we had a big party at our work, and so I had some cheese and some crackers, and then afterwards I had a few M&Ms.
Okay.
And I had a couple pieces of that pound cake, but I didn't have it at first. I mean,
Right.
at first I had some cheese, I had a green juice.
Well, you were able to control it though.
And I was
by
able to
not
control
having,
it.
Yeah, you were able just to eat 2-3 pieces of something that you like without taking that whole plate in your office.
Yeah, and I do, for me, when is your biggest meal of the day? So like if you have one medium meal and
It's
one
gonna be
smaller
dinner time.
meal.
It's gonna be dinner time. So usually, like I said, I don't usually eat dinner until about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So that's gonna be my biggest meal of the day usually. When, like I said, when I break my fast, I'm not starving usually. So that'll be my smaller meal. Might be like I said, a piece of chicken or some leftovers from the night before or something like that. But it's usually smaller portions than my dinner will be.
Yeah, and for me, because I'm eating a 6-hour window, I'm gonna only eat enough to keep me full for 4 to 5 hours.
Right.
Make sense? Because I know I want to be hungry at that 6. Like at the 5.5 hour
Right.
mark,
And
I want to eat something else small. So I can't eat too much. Because I want to make sure one of the rules here is you can't ever overeat.
Right.
And you can't ever overeat, and you only want to eat when you're actually truly hungry. So I want to make sure I'm not eating too much at that middle meal. Or that first meal, so that I am hungry 4.5 hours
And what's
later.
a good point is that we both work out, in the morning. So we're working out, like you said, you go from 12. So you got about a good 5-6 hours from the time you start working out till you eat, and you're still not binging, you're not starving, you're not binging out, you're not dizzy or anything like that. I work out obviously in the morning too. I train some more physical type job, I have to carry weights, hand people weights, do things like that. But we're still not starving, we're still not overeating. As soon as our window ends, we're still eating normal meals at a normal pace, even though we did all this physical activity, throughout, early in the morning when we first woke up 6-7 hours ago.
What happens is that your hunger hormones adjust to the intermittent fasting. So like I get hungry. I basically eat in my same window every single day. So for me, I eat, 12 to 6 or 1 to 7. And that's the only time I'm hungry. My body has adjusted to the fact that this is the time when I eat. So my body actually physically gets hungry during those times. And the other times I'm just not hungry. So my body is used to this,
right.
And this is what my body has adapted to, and it gets easier and easier.
And that's a big point too, because a lot of people, when I tell them about explaining intermittent fasting, their first thing is, I'm going to be starving every day. I'm going to be starving every day. And I tell them it couldn't be the most opposite thing. So you've been fasting for 16, 18 hours. You would think, I'm going to go to the biggest buffet I could find. I'm going to eat everything I can get. And you'll see, once you get into it and you get comfortable with it, after your 16, 18-hour fast, when you eat, it's like sometimes let's say I got a foot-long sub or something like that. I can't eat the foot-long sub. I eat more proportionate fasting than I do not fasting.
Yeah. It calms you down because you are not so worried about what you're eating. You know that you can eat what you want, however you want. And I think that a big thing is that it breaks your food addictions. I would say that before I started doing intermittent fasting, I was addicted to food in the sense that I was so obsessive because I would play this game of deprivation and then binging and then deprivation and then binging and this kind of roller coaster back and forth, depriving myself. And then once I did get to eat the cookies, instead of eating one cookie, I'm now eating 5.
Yeah. And I'll turn into a cookie monster too. Same thing. and it's an actual effect, once you eat. We'll get into the details later, but that's an actual biological effect in your body was why you're doing it. It wasn't your fault, actually. It was just how we were going about food. It's just a biological response you're going to have.
Have a question you need answered? Send an email to questions@chantelrayway.com.